You're good.
Welcome, Peter Hanson, to Authenticity on the Sology Network. It's so lovely to see your smiling face. Good morning. You're in California?
Yes, I am. Good morning to you too, and thank you for having me on your show. I love the title of your show, and I would love to hear more about that, of course, and the thoughts behind that. Um,
Well, first, let me tell my audience, those who are watching now and then again on the replay, that you're a psychic angelic channeler and a mentor, and that you also provide personal sessions that I wrote down that your sessions are deeply clearing, healing, enlightening, inspiring, and on and on and on. And I've read some of the reviews and comments on your page, and that you really embody that which you speak of.
mm, Thank you.
And it's beautiful to see out there. And I've been following you for a few years, and I'm just honored to have you so you can share. I mean, I have some questions, Peter. You and I talked on the phone for an hour, and I did get to experience the services that you share. And it was fascinating because immediately I wanted to join you in that sense in this session. My
Good.
higher self came in and wanted to participate. Um, I know I listened to your show with Aurora Luna, and she and you talked about how this came about. You had a near-death experience, and I
Mhm.
kind of want to start there. Do you feel that is what opened you up to be able to be a channeler?
It was yes and no because I mean, since birth, there's of course been my mission and purpose, but I was in a different country. I was in a different kind of mindset and a different personality and a different, train of thought, consciousness up to that point. And I was 20 years old and I was in a car accident. I was in a coma for 10 days. So I have no doubt now that that was divinely purposed for me to look at the bigger picture, but also change directions in lives and then start a new phase, a new part of my journey. And it was not obvious right away, but obviously this universal 4x4 was just really stopping everything else in its tracks. The path I was going down, not saying it was a bad path, but it was not in alignment with my purpose and my higher expression. Seeing that, looking back, it really got me back on track to look at life differently as well. But also having a different, life and death kind of relationship is like it can stop like that. You know what I mean? In the physical, incarnation. So it was an exit point, and I had that experience. I went up, as I mentioned in the other show, and I had these two guys taking me up in the elevator, and this is experience a lot of near-death experience. SARS have a similar. I hear from many that that's similar. I didn't know that till later on because I thought it was just me in the hospital at the first, right when I came out, because my logical mind was trying to translate that.
Mhm.
But then I was learning to tune deeper into it, and it was like, whoa! I was really understanding what really happened there, And I went up and acknowledged that it's not time for me to go. But it was in the quantum field, so it's not like I was spending 30 minutes there deciding. You know what I mean? It was just more like a readjustment, an activation, and an embodiment of my purpose and the soul essence, reactivating, aligning with that. So coming back into the physical with that activation and that vibration in my body, which then allowed me to make better decisions, much more in alignment with my spiritual path moving forward, if that makes sense.
Was this, how long ago was this?
I think it was 89 or something. Was it 89 or? Well, maybe it was I was born in 71, so put it that
We're the
way.
same age. We're the same age.
Okay.
You would describe it as an elevator. Is that what you perceived it looked like? Like a physical box that you're going, where the sensation of going up, you were moving upwards,
Yes.
and you were being guided by two angelics, you would say?
I had two angels come with me, guiding me up to ascended masters, taking me up, ushering me up, and just allowing me to make my decisions. So it was a free will, but it wasn't really communicated like that. It was more like that's my channeling, my interpretation of that, how things unfold, how, everything just made sense. So they were just ushering me up, because I was in an altered state. I was in a coma
Mm-hmm.
between dimensions. So like I went up and had that experience, to gauge, kind of like take inventory. What do you want to do? Do you want to exit now, or do you want to go back in? You know what I mean? And it was planned from the get-go, from me to have that experience at that time. I have no doubt about that now. So it was not like uncharted, unscripted. But in the linear timeline, it seems like that would be the case. You know what I mean? But in the higher perspective of things, is that I wanted to have one more dense experience, and then I wanted a big shift, really reaching a crossroad, divinely created by me, which I then reached, and then I made a different route. And then very short after that, after I processed, the healing process, of through the human logical mind, because this is one fun little ingredients that I didn't mention in the other interview, is that I was running a lot at the time. I was in tip-top shape. So when I came back in, full awareness and become conscious in the physical body after the coma, then I was like, my mind, my energy field, my spirit was like, oh yeah, I was supposed to run that 14K the next following weekend. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. But my physical body was not up to that, or at least that I wasn't able to make that transition, because I probably could have, you know what I mean? But there was healing to happen, on my head and so forth. But it's really about a vibrational state of being, you know what I mean? And then transitioning out of that higher 10 days in the higher realm at that point, and coming into a much more dense human experience, where then there's like kind of a wake-up call. This is what's available to you. And that's a little offsetting at first. So integrating that, allowing that experience to unfold, but at the same time, not just fully giving in and giving your powers away, and move on from there. That's what I learned to do from that experience. You know what I mean? And I do feel like a much stronger sense of self then, because it was like, this is what matters. This is, it's not a waiting game. This is more like, follow your heart, and then follow that inner guidance, wherever that takes you. And since then, I think more than ever than at that time in my life, I think, of course, I was coming out into the adult life, or part of my life at the point at that time. But at the same time, I do feel like I was an old soul, if you want to call it that. I felt from a young kid, you know what I mean? I already knew, because I was connected to past lives and higher consciousness in that sense. But then making that much more embodied after the accident, doing the accident, doing that near-death experience, that allowed me to just like really follow my heart so much stronger and easier.
Were there ascension practices or spiritual practices that, from the time that occurred, to your awakening, as some of us describe it, a lot of people was 2011, 2012, they really started to waking up to their inner guidance. So if this was in 1989,
Yeah.
and so that now we're in 2023, when did you start putting these practices? I mean, did you go through the embodiment like the rest of us, of the balancing of the masculine and the feminine, doing the inner work, the shadow work, all the things that we do to where we are now?
it was a different phase when that happened to me because I changed continent. I moved to United States. I moved to California when I was 25. And so it was almost starting a new lifetime with the knowledge I had from the past life, which was in the same incarnation. But it really felt like I was starting a new life. So I was kind of starting from ground zero in many ways. I kind of had to learn the culture, all of that, you know what I mean? And then being open to experiencing new things. It was a very different culture, and energetically very different as well. Much more expansive, much more bigger than the small country I came from with 5 million people in the whole country into a country with 200 and some million, right?
Right.
In the States and just huge compared to that in comparison. So I went through another layer of kind of going undercover into the matrix, I would say. I was in the movie business doing sound, and I was actually doing some catering before that, starting out coming here. And that gave me an insight into the illusion, into the how everything was connected. And
Mm,
that really gave me the behind the scenes look of how everything works. You know what I mean? That really, I kind of needed that established relationship with that, and being a part of it hands on to really understand that it's all illusions. It's all, part of the story, so to speak, you know what I mean? Or somebody's story.
sure.
And if that's depending on the vibration and the dimension that comes from that story, that creates that reality and that belief system. So I feel like that really, really helped me tune into and understand that bigger picture till I reached the point when it was just like it was soul sucking in so many ways, because it was like it was well paid, but it was so many hours, and it was like your creative outlets was kind of not going towards your soul's journey. It was more to somebody else's dream, which
Sure.
was part of the matrix, right? So I feel that really I needed to establish that foundation. So 2012, I also had my milestones, and it's like you go through phases. You activate, you realign, you embody different aspects, and then you clear and go through a small death and rebirth process each time. So leaving one part of you behind that you don't resonate with any longer. And I had many of those, and we all do
Sure.
throughout our life, you know what I mean? So I continue to expand and grow into where I'm at today, and that's not the end all. Obviously, it's like we're just starting to tap into the new earth, experience fully. But really, we are seeing it firsthand how now everything leading up to this prepared us for this.
Now, describe to me and the audience, how did you become a psychic angelic channeler? How did that occur for you? Was
Mm,
there through meditation, through your practices, because when we talked on the phone, you said that you felt that you were Archangel Gabriel in a past life.
yes.
And so how did that occur for you? Was it in your open quantum field meditation? Did you have a conversation then with yourself? Your higher self aspect came in. I really am fascinated at how that occurred for you.
I don't know the year exactly, but it would have been around 2010, 12, around that area, I think, where I connected. I mean, it was channeled to me. I channeled it. But I also connected with a crystal skull group
Mm,
where we worked together, and it was internationally. And it was really beautiful. It just opened up a lot because we were working together in the quantum field. And I reconnected with that aspect. So I saw, Gabriel stepping out of me, and the same with Jesus and Sir Lancelot, those aspects with Avalon, and taking me back and kind of showing me those aspects, how, and of course, in as we ascend higher and higher, of course, we have different routes to get back to source self, to God, whatever you want to call it, where we're fully embodied as the divine. We have a soul mixture or a divine blueprint that we share through our vibration and frequency, and we all add to this bigger canvas of creation. We, like, you have your unique, frequency, I have mine, but we all are part of the bigger. So you are part of me, I'm a part of you. So it was guiding me. I needed to see that to fully acknowledge it, and recognize that was a part of my soul's blueprint. And then allow my, by seeing and having that experience, then that allowed me to tune into and learn more about those aspects, activating those strands of DNA within me, the memories, all of that, and allowing the frequency and the consciousness to flow through me as well. So not allowing the logical mind to shut that off. That really was the biggest takeaway from that. You know what I mean? Of course, and then doing what I'm doing today, I've been doing it for a long time, working with people, and assisting them with connecting with their higher self and allowing that higher frequency. And I'm utilizing Gabriel a lot because that's something that people resonate with in the majority and feel comfortable with. So that allows this to be a bridge because I have access to that. So I utilize that in my work, and that allows me to become a stronger expression of myself, where I allow more and more frequencies and less the I, you know what I mean, and more the we, becoming one with the whole. So that's really what that comes down to, in the essence.
I feel like that's really beautiful. And I felt that as you were speaking. My whole body started tingling as you were speaking about that. I think it's beautiful to have the masculine step forth, the representation of a masculine in form, who is out there sharing the light and the love the way that you do. I feel that in your posts and then in our conversation. And I feel like it's a really important role that you play right now because there's a lot of masculines stepping forth. And some masculine men feel more comfortable speaking with other men
Mm.
or are guided towards, maybe if they're looking for guidance or sessions. And that's why I had you on my show. So that if there's any men listening right now and they feel more comfortable speaking to you versus myself, that there's outlets out there, that we provide all kinds of information and spaces for everyone. And so that was really important for me to have you today.
I love that.
One
Thank
of
you.
the, of
Go ahead,
course,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, probably I would say 90% of my clients are female because of my balanced relationship with the masculine and the feminine, uh,
Sure.
honoring the aspect because we all have the masculine and the feminine. We all perfecting, we all in the process of embodying that fully. So I do feel like I might, for the most part, or the audience or the clients might be more open and ready in the female at most. I do know a lot of female clients I work with who also work with clients who the majority of their clients are men. So a lot of times it's kind of like the opposite that needs healing, right? In this incarnation, I found, but it's just as powerful and we are all coming back into that, full embodiment where we are genderless, so to speak. You know what I mean? Really just the
Absolutely.
source.
I feel very androgynous, and it's
That's
fascinating to feel genderless.
right. Not having those labels. It's like it's that's a linear, that's a human concept.
It's very human because I'm being authentic as I can be, and I'm just going to say it. I'm attracted to men and women,
Hmm.
and that's fascinating to have that. There's, I see them as a being, as a light being versus their physical beingness, what they're representing, which I find very fascinating. And when earlier in the years when I was really embodying, I remember having a vision that of my higher self, and it was masculine.
Mm.
And I thought, well, that's bizarre. At the time, I was just like, do I need to embrace my feminine side a little bit more than my masculine, being that I was more of a masculine feminine and, bringing that into a balance. But I just feel like the genderless is where we're moving towards.
I
And
couldn't agree more. And thank you for sharing that. And I feel the same way. I honestly do. It's in living in the physical world, where we at, we are surrounded by labels, of course, so and then even making that kind of statement, then that could be misinterpreted, you know what I mean?
of course it could, but this show is called Authenticity. It's over here. And
Yes, no, I
I'm,
love that.
and I have to be authentic to myself and so that I can way show. Being a true way shower is being vulnerable and truthful with yourself first. And that comes out when you speak.
Yes, it does. And why would we, discriminate against one or the other? We all source light, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful. There shouldn't be any reasons why. I mean, and that will be, guiding us moving forward. That those templates and those matrix, programs and belief systems will be shattered. That all the things that kept the matrix together, as that's collapsing more and more, then the relationships, the way to love, the value system, all of that is going through a huge transformation, you know what I mean? Where it really becomes so pure that it's like it's not about all those layers, or the filters, deciding what is right, or you know what I mean?
Peter, tell me, because you channel, are you privy to information perhaps on where we're headed into 2024
I
as
can
a
tune in.
collective?
You in the quantum field, as you know, it's in channeling as well. It's like it's what you tune into it in that moment. That's what's coming through, because that's what you're asking for, right? That's what you're aligning with vibrationally, and there's no past and future. So yes, I do have access to that, and if you want me to tune into that, then I can allow whatever's coming through come through. You know what I mean? And I might not remember that afterward till I watch it again, and that's how it also happens, because we're not connecting. You know what I mean? We're not.
Well,
Uh,
you know how people talk about the 11/11, and then there's 12/12, and then we have the spring equinox, the fall equinox, we have the solstice coming up, and that these are all important markers, perhaps, or portals or gateways where opportunities for higher alignment present themselves.
Absolutely.
And because you do have this connection with the angelic realm, do you see us moving forward in 2024 more on the higher realms, fifth dimensional and higher realms? I know they're available now when we tune in, but what if somebody had to say, Peter, do you know what's going to happen? When is this going to dismantle? People have all these ideas of what it's going to look like.
A good part of that answer is to acknowledge that we all, like you kind of mentioned, in different phases and different places on our journey. So it will not show up the same way for everybody, because we all, depending on the resistance from within, the allowance, the aspect of us coming online and being fully embodied, that is the direct, reflection or indication of what that will look like for the individual. But we can look at the collective, the mass, as a what's trending, what's building up in the field, and what is the collective experience at the moment, and that is building really strongly. We have that bell curve, we're still moving up it, but we're getting really close to that, where there's like critical mass, if you want. And what happens then is that you can say the Mandela effect and all of that, then we collapsing or creating the future, and the past cease to exist. So we're not holding on to past, more dense versions of reality or belief systems or history even. So that is what's going to accelerate moving forward in 2024. It will become much more quantum, less linear, and then that wouldn't be supported anymore. So more and more people will be in the etheric, much more in the vibrational life experience moving forward. And that will allow people to feel and experience and then activate new phases of their ascension process, because that's when you can actually start embodying and moving to the next level and fully embody and receive the guidance and the assistance, from higher aspects of yourself when you start listening again. But I'd love to tune in if you don't mind, and then
I would
allow.
love you to. I would love everyone to watch you tune in.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please
Well, I'm going
do.
to ask you for permission to energy melt and connect with your higher self. Do I have that?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm just going to bring in the Legion of Angels. I'm asking them to remove any wandering spirits, anything that's not of the light. Just clearing the space from this show, from this countries, this planet, all timelines, all parallel realities, and all dimensions. It's clearing space. There's a lot of energy here today. It's not just from the group here, but there's a lot of galactic, frequencies coming in, CMEs, which is assisting with the evolution, the activation of this dimensional life experience, so to speak. Of course, it's multidimensional, and eventually there won't be any dimensions because it's all one. But that's a good way of in the human, slash coming into the etheric, into the higher self embodiment, that we have a way or you guys have a way to communicate that and kind of make sense of it. So asking the question about what do we see in 2024, let me see here. So it almost looks like a roller coaster or a slide. So, but that's just the analogy. So what they're showing here is that we have been going down and then gaining a lot of speed as we're going down. Then the next, trajectory, is going up, and it's not losing speed. So it's kind of like we go down low to go even higher into the high. So that's really what it's kind of like a gaining speed and momentum to then rise even higher. And that is the expression of the soul's journey as well, as we first go undercover, as a human, and experience that dense, disconnected, unconscious life experience where we are not connected to our higher selves. This is kind of like resembling that. And now we went through that, and then we're going even higher up into the full embodiment. And it's not like it's gonna continue to go up and down anymore. That's the difference between the past and the future, the last 26,000 years, that it was like that for a long time, but now it's gonna continue moving up in that perspective, meaning that it's gonna become much more detached from the constructs and much more expansive. So much more connected from within, where we all connect then in the quantum field and in the unity consciousness, where it will be like a grid work. It will be like a cosmic internet where we all connected and feeling as a frequency. So no separation, meaning that you, I, and everybody else is part of the same oversoul, if you want. And that's going to come online much more moving into 2024. It will feel like for some it's going to feel like somebody's leaving. And when we say that, a lot of times then people think then we look down like, oh, people are dying and they're leaving and they're taking a different route. And that has happened a lot moving up to this point. But, as more and more people are awakening, then there will be some that's also going up another step, another phase, another dimensional aspect of them being activated and embodied. So it will feel like they almost left that way, like ascended. But it's just the collective, is going through a phase of embodiment of their own, going through that phase that these souls have been through, So it will feel like they're gone for a little while, but they're not. And for them, they're not gone at all. But it's always going to feel like that for the ones who was stepping into that next phase of between the awakening into the more the ascension part of the journey. So that will be experienced. And what that also is, in essence, is serving is true that then people stop looking without, but more within, embodying that guru energy within. So a lot of the gurus, it will feel like they are out of reach for some. Others will be perfectly, able to communicate and embody and be a part of that experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I can continue, but I feel like that's a good place to stop right
No,
there.
it was beautiful. Thank you.
Okay.
I completely understood, and I'm sure everyone felt that it's a bandwidth, it's a vibrational match, and there's many of us moving into different bandwidths and different vibrations. And I always say it's divinely planned.
Yes, absolutely. And that doesn't mean whoever's ascending, is done. Again, it's just like going into another phase to expand even more
You
aspects.
you had mentioned gurus, that they may feel, if we're all leveling up and we're playing on the excuse me, on the same playing field, some of us, and that guru notion is no longer in our field, then I feel like then we're really co-creating together. That all those moving parts can work now.
Yes, because we don't filter it through our logical mind. We don't second guess ourselves. We don't look at somebody else as, we don't compare ourselves.
Yeah,
We can co-create together, and if we feel drawn to spend time together or go somewhere together or be part of something together, that is uniquely, divinely planned that way, and you have a, you are embodying that aspect of yourself. Like the guru you before was trying to align with is now you. That
right.
material, you're fully embodying that. You're recognizing that it was yours to begin with. Actually trusting, believing that, you know what I mean, without any hierarchy or
We talked about that on the phone, that there's those of us who are taking this role of being a podcaster or having a video podcast and finding our voice, but
Mhm.
also coming in not only as a host, but also meeting you at the same level. That many of us are stepping forth in our unique light
Yes.
to exchange code together. Uh, Not only shine your light, Peter, on my show, but my own light and whatever code is coming through that. And I find that after I got off the phone with you, I was nothing but smiles and grateful for our connection, because I could really feel your sincerity. And that means a lot. We
Thank you very
talked about that there has been previous moments in my life where I've met people and they weren't who they said they were. And that I'm in that place of trust again, and that I was able to open myself to connecting with you and experiencing what you had to offer. And so that was a big step for me, to allow having a session with someone. I have never had a session other than with Lauren from the New Earth Institute, and that was just a couple weeks ago. And then no energy work on me. I've
much.
always been very protective of my energy and my field and who I allowed to come in and do that. But I felt very safe and very honored to share that space with you. And I really hope that everyone can feel that coming from you, that you're the real deal.
Thank you. And
You're
and I think
welcome. No, thank
what
you.
came, oh, my pleasure. What came away from, and so much, thank you so much for sharing that. And the takeaway from that, I feel too, is that, it's about you trusting yourself enough seeing it from that perspective. So you're not just allowing others to work with you, feel in resonance, but also you allowing to share your frequency and your light more through your podcast. Because it could easily just be, putting on that hat. I'm a podcast host, but you're so much more. And I feel like through this expansion, you are part of that evolution and that transformation of that medium as well. Allowing, having these conscious conversations, allowing your light to shine fully, you to be vulnerable, you to share your deepest thoughts and feelings, you know what I mean? Not just interviewing, nothing wrong with that, but I feel like this is a new era of embodying that more. It's like there's facilitators who are wonderful, amazing doing that, and really assist the whole reaching the masses through their work. I'm not taking anything away from that, but I do feel like the way you're doing things, and many others now too, is that we're not separate. It's like we're working as in a unified field. So we're sharing our journeys, you know what I mean? Because they are very much in alignment. They will be different in some ways, but they complement each other,
Mhm.
and that's really like, that's the message when I feel like it's helpful to bring out there, because then people do not alienate themselves. They don't feel separate from it or compare themselves. Oh, it's great for that person, one day I'll get over there, and just create more resistance, so you kind of
Yeah,
bridge.
well, it was really breaking the fear of being on camera.
Good.
That was huge. That was a huge hurdle. I wanted to speak. I wanted to be heard, but there was so much fear surrounding being seen, I guess. To have the maybe perhaps people judge me. There was so much like around self-worth. And when you feel that your energy is balanced, then you can, what's the word? I don't know if that's the right word, but you can hold your own now, that you're worthy to play with your peers. And it feels good to have
Yeah.
that confidence moving forward, knowing that you are enough. Do you want to share a little bit with my audience what you do in your sessions?
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
they look like if somebody contacted you?
Most of my clients I work with continually. So a lot of people are signing up for mentorship because it's like kind of like an ongoing journey where we identify any blockages, or belief system, so forth. But most importantly, where people believe they at themselves. So through my questionnaire and my questioning and through the sessions, I ask a lot of questions, I tune in, and I can feel organically what's going on. And are connecting with the high aspects of themselves, and then bridge that together with that perceived embodiment or ego or sense of self. So kind of shatter or expand any limitations, making them conscious. So assisting through that journey is really how I work with on a daily basis, because we are more than most fully comprehend. We are connected to everything, obviously. So we're also feeling the fluctuation and with the moons, the planets, the earth, the collective, all of that, on our skin, on our vibration, or on our emotions, all of that, you know what I mean? So learning how to navigate that and not feeling that that's out of control. That's
Are you
just,
doing this on a Zoom like this? Are you doing it on a course? Are you guys doing it on the phone? How do you offer your sessions?
I have office, so I do office sessions, but I also do Skype. I don't use Zoom. Uh,
So you do in person. You have
I
people
do in
come into.
person, and I do Zoom. I mean, Skype, or so I have a lot of international or domestic, remote clients as well weekly, and then do phone sessions too sometimes, depending on the circumstances. But really, energetically through the voice, seeing or not seeing is not as important. You know what I mean? And then it's part healing too. So like I did with you as well, I did some healing at the end of the session. Is that there's talk therapy where we kind of disassemble, and look at whatever's going on in your field and bring in divine guidance towards that, but then energetically connect with your chakras, the cells in your body, your frequency, and aligning those two different worlds, into one. I learned from experience that really, really makes a huge difference, because then that's what people almost like they're in a REM state or very high vibrational frequency where the logical mind is just letting go. They're trusting in the angelic and myself to work on the body and bring everything into alignment. Everything we just worked on that day, integrate that into the physical body, so you in a vibrational alignment with it. So it's not like the logical mind have to be separate to control it moving forward. You know what I mean? So that's why the energy healing is just as important, I feel. So there's a balance between that. I have some clients who do 90-minute session where we do an hour, depending on if they work on a big stage, let's say, and there's a lot of energy, a lot of moving parts, and then a half an hour healing at the end, just to integrate it.
I heard you use a drum and then you were rattling something. How does that assist?
Well, the drumming and the rattling is really helping up breaking up the frequencies from the outside world, anything that's been attaching. So it's just kind of clearing the body vibrational, the frequency, and then going in and do some cord cutting with some crystals. And I'm placing in dark crystals on all the chakras.
Mm.
And then I do some tuning with singing balls, the 528, and then I spin the chakras usually, and bring whatever guidance that comes through for that specific client, that specific day, um, as well. Sometimes it could be whales coming in, there could be fairies, it could be ascended masters, it could be angelic, it could be galactics. It's like there's no limits to that, depending where people are at. I have a couple clients who went through pregnancy with working with me while we're doing it. That was just such a gift as well, connecting with the baby, the team that's assigned to the individual to take care of them through that expansion, through that portal being open. Really amazing results from that. And just kind of like being a trendsetter and a way shower in as a mom. I noticed that my clients then became, because they're really like, instead of just going down that same, okay, this is hard, that's hard, that's hard, that's hard, this is difficult, struggle, 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 it's like just totally rewrite that. And they experience so much ease
How
because they,
fascinating. Pregnant. They come to see you pregnant.
one of them
Wow.
actually came before she became pregnant, and I assisted her with becoming pregnant, not physically, but by really aligning her with the fact that it was her that had to allow it. Her partner was, of course, playing a part in it, but it was really about her deciding in her journey, is it time yet? And,
Allowing.
and she was fully on board and very spiritually open, so she totally got that and fully embodied that, and it was just magical. And that really allowed also the soul that came through, that it was, of course, planned to come through, to be in a very high alignment and just with so much ease. And now I believe the son is a couple of years old or something, and it's just it's magical. You can see his vibration, his frequency, and how they work together, uh, as a unity, as one, like a joint partners on a journey. You know what I mean? It's really beautiful. So
Do
that's
you do you have kids? Do you
I
have
have
a
a daughter,
family?
yes. I have a daughter that's 16, yes.
Oh, that's exciting. That's an exciting age.
You have
And
kids?
I do. She's 33.
Okay.
And so being a mom is a fulfilling and extraordinary way to experience unconditional love.
Oh my God, yes. That's funny you just mentioned that, because I didn't mention that earlier when you asked me about the milestones in my life. When my daughter was born, it was just such a huge shift. Like every parent, I would think, is that really like we put ourselves aside, is like the sense of self, we just willing to give our lives for our kids, is like that's my experience, like it's just like the sense of self just shift, less ego and much more like really like you for a while they seem to look to you as the master of the universe or the god, because
Yeah.
and
How
then
does she feel about you being a psychic angelic channeler?
I think she's doing fine with it. She is on her own journey, so she is, and I respect that. I'm not pushing, I'm allowing, but one of the reasons why spending more and more time with her now, because I was traveling a lot before, is for that reason too, being in that frequency, because there's aspects of her and aspects of me that's in attunement and that need to be calibrated. And she obviously is going through her journey, so allowing, whatever that means, respecting her choices, and the process. But through my vibration, I can see in her life that the choices she's making, just through her vibration, is making waves into her surroundings as well. You know what I mean? So if there's any unconscious relationships and so forth, she don't resonate with that, or they don't resonate with her anymore as much. You know what I mean? It's really, that's the effect we have by shining our light. We're not
Are
forced.
you, do you tune in? Like, are you able to be personal like that with your channeling about like your family members? And is there like not rules, but where things that aren't allowed to be asked about other people when they're like our children or partner? Is there a sort of a ethical guidance on that? Where
Well, it's
with you?
interesting you asked that, because you asked me about, we now got into, I don't talk about my daughter ever. I don't post pictures in social media, anything like that, out of respect and the privacy, you know what I mean? Uh, but I feel at this point I could share this, I feel, safely. But otherwise, yes, I would not ask or share without permission, you know what I mean? And the same when I energy melt with people, I wouldn't do that without their permission, like we did earlier today too, you know what I mean? And that really, that's a part of your, uh,
Mm,
what you stands for, too, your respect for others' energy, but also what you allow into your field, your boundaries.
mm,
Because there is old school psychics or, spiritual workers who overstepped those boundaries, who didn't respect them. But it
right.
also, reflected a pattern within themselves, some unresolved karma, um, and holding on to a frequency or serving a consciousness that was not, in alignment with where we are now.
That's beautiful that you can have that kind of level of respect and understanding that ethically you don't tune into her energy field without her permission, even though she is your daughter. And that says a lot about you, Peter.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're coming up on 12/12 and the winter solstice. Any plans for yourself? Any going anywhere
Well, 2012, 21, the winter
for
solstice.
this for the winter solstice? Mhm.
Yes. I have no specific plans at the moment. My birthday is on the summer solstice, so usually the winter solstice is significant as well as the 6 month,
Mhm.
transitioning. So specifically, I don't have any plans, but I know every day is a new way of exploring and expanding, and so my life is pretty stable. Like, I haven't made any plans, to move anywhere or travel anywhere. For the at least for the rest of this year. So who
I didn't
knows?
know if you were getting any guidance to do anything specific or
Always he was saying, well,
if you
let's
were
go into
going
that.
anywhere with that.
Um, so obviously it's wrapping up the year in the calendar, so to speak. There is all these portals, there's all these gateways, there's all these big incoming burst of light, so to speak, that each time is just expanding the collective field more and more and more and more. And the solstice is, depending if you're south or north, hemisphere, really, it is the time where there's big transitioning and milestones are happening as well. So it is, we say 2024 will be a certain way, but that's also going to bleed into 2025, and it also is like is happening already. So 12/12 and 12/21 in December here coming up, it will just be opening up a little bit more, and I feel like there will be a significant energetic shift around that date of the 21st. So it will be what we mentioned earlier, where there's that, you can say it looks like division or like a disconnection from the guru energy, which allows for more of the embodiment of the higher soul self from within. There will be a big expansion like that. So individually, it will be experienced. I feel about the solstice that there will be a really coming together, coming inside, going offline from the physical rat race, if you want, and really uh, finding a new sense of self, identifying with memories, but also lost part, or there was parts of oneself that wasn't accessible before. There will be a lot of that coming forward. So it's almost like a supercomputer that's was on 10%. So now we're gonna coming 12, 12, 12, 21. It will bring on several more modules. So it will, and it won't go back off. So it will stay on. So I feel like three more modules will come on. Let's say one was on before. Um, it will be that kind of transitioning. So the manifesting powers will be stronger because there will be a stronger sense of self. So it will be easier to focus on what's really important and what you want to bring forth. So less distraction in this vibrational field when more of that supercomputer that we are, this light ship that we are online, then less of the distraction of the old is affecting us. So there will, to answer your question, coming December 21st, and then between the 12th and the 21st, there will be a significant up switch if you want. That's what I'm getting.
And thank you for that clarity, because I feel that coming in as well, that we're connecting more and more to that supercomputer that we are, and the unity consciousness that is stepping forth for some of us. There's a little bit of talk online about spiritual poverty and how some of that is very old belief systems from all the way back to religious programming, that if you're spiritual, that you shouldn't charge or you shouldn't be making money. And I wanted to address that before we end the show today. That I know that everybody has their own perspective and they're going to do as they're guided for what benefits them. But moving forward, for myself and many others, we would like to make a living, perhaps with guidance or in a more spiritual based way of non-traditional ways of making money. And so being donation based only may not work moving forward for us. And when I was on your site or I'm on your Facebook page, there's ads, there's ways that you're finding, way showing, maybe perhaps I would say, for the rest of us who are not doing that. Do you want to speak on that and what I'm speaking of?
Absolutely. Depending on where we process from, if it's a transactional mindset, then that is one bandwidth, let's say. What
Mm-hmm.
really comes down to in the higher aspects of things is that trusting that we always will have enough because it's an energy exchange. You are giving part of your time for you to provide the service, I mean, provide my service, to a client. I have routines, I have practices I do and spiritual hygiene I do. I have an
Mm-hmm.
office, I have a website, I have all these other things that, I have to pay for, you know what I mean? So, but I don't look at it like that. At first I did. And we go through the motions, you know what I mean? Where we panic when there's not enough money. So it comes into that place where we start to trust, but most importantly, we don't stop how we show up. And I think that's the key message here, to break through that pattern and through that phase of our lives as you know, you're retooling yourself, you are putting on a new hat, you are showing up differently, you're being seen differently, then and you're giving your energy, you know, with the best of intention, then the universe wants to, you know, give you back. But
Mhm.
the logical mind can then block that by thinking that, well, it has to be a certain way, it has to be, you know what I mean? So it's really about not being at that vibration and not hold back, like saying that I'm only going to do this if this and this and this. So that doesn't mean that you give it away for free, but you have like clear boundaries, you know what I mean? You energetically also connect with people who have a value system where they value themselves and they're willing to pay for it because then they receive something in exchange. Clients, you know, or people who are not there yet, they will feel that same kind of transactional struggle in their own lives because they might still be in that bandwidth and still figuring that out. But that's not really the clientele that you're catering to at the moment. I'm just saying you, but I'm you're talking about in general.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's really about changing your belief system about who your clients is as well. If you believe they don't want to pay, if there's parts of yourself, your mind that say, I maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm doubting all that stuff, you know, you want to clear that and then visualize what does a perfect client do, what do they look for in you as a you know a healer and a light ascension coach, you know what I mean? And that allows you to then vibrationally send out those frequencies, those pings into the universe. And then people will feel that through your voice, through your frequency, through your sharings, through your social media, through your podcast. And then, like, oh my God, I want that. So that's how you connect with people then. And it's not about the money, meaning, you know what I mean? That's not the purpose we're doing it, but we're allowing it in. We're not kind of like separating it like this I should be paid for, this I should not be paid for. If you are just open to receive from the universe and you trust that you will be taken care of and you continue to provide and showing up in ways that where you are way sure and you advocate that kind of living, you know what I mean? Because we do have needs. We're still in a physical body at the moment.
Mhm.
So we really just have to change our mindset, how we show up, what we connect with. Because if we compare ourselves to everybody else, it's like, oh, that person is successful. Oh, they got a funnel. They got this and this and this. They must be better than I am. We're just shooting ourselves in the foot.
Right.
So it's really about changing that inner vibrational experience and belief system, you know? Is that helpful?
Yeah, because I really would like to see that change in our collective communities, that the exchange of energy is equal, that it's not about the money, that you don't go in doing, we don't do this for the money. You know, we do it through our inner guidance and what our passions are, and because we believe in ascension and embodiment, and that we're moving away from separation.
Yes.
And we
What I,
want to share that message with everyone.
yeah. What I noticed when I went through it myself too, I simplified and a lot of things that I did not need, I cleared and got rid of or don't pay into anymore, you know. So my expenses is not like what they used to be either. So that also kind of like, you know, it allows that flow. I'm not paying into something that makes me look like somebody I'm not. You know what I mean? Or feeding those programs or those systems. You know what I mean? It's like if it's not authentically something that serve me, so it's not an illusion of you have to look this way, you have to be this way, spending all your money on your exterior. You know what I mean? Um, if you change all of that perspective from within, you know, and find a good balance with that. Of course, we know we want to look nice, we want to, you know, but there have to be a balance with all of that too. And I feel like that's the same we're talking about with the money as well, the giving and receiving. There
Mhm.
has to be a balance, you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
somebody is showing up really heavily and unloading all our problems onto us, you know, and did that for years, we allowed that. So
Right.
what are we allowing? If you're allowing people not to pay you, then you're just asking for more of it. There is
Right.
other people standing there waiting who would love to be part of your life and learn from you. But you kind of have to like say, I'm now catering to you, so to speak, you know what I mean? Because you value your time and your money and your energy. because money is energy too.
And I can use this network as an example. Sology Network and Todd Medina, he had always been donation based, and he had a download, and it came in for him to create Sology Network and to step away from social media and to create this container and consciousness, providing a platform for myself and others to shine our light. And he put a 1212 on it a month to be a member of the Sology Network. And some people were excited and thought, oh, it's about time. And some people went, how could you, And so it was beautiful how you explained that sometimes our perceptions are just things we haven't healed yet about ourselves. And that was a really important message. Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Tell us your website, where people can find you. We're at the end of the hour, and so I would love to use my platform so you can tell everyone where they can find you.
Thank you. I got a website. It's called channelingarchangel.com. Then I'm on social media, on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube as well, where you can find me, and there's links there. But if you want to get in contact with me, the website is for a session, or work with me, go through the website, the contact me page. And if we're Facebook friends, Instagram friends, say hi, all of that. So, and then all my posts, as you mentioned too, the energy, what I share, it's what I feel energetically is beneficial for the whole, allowing that frequency to come through, you know what I mean? What I feel that's in the field, and the same with my website too, sharing a lot of information, and there's a lot of videos on there people can watch for free, or there's workshops you can watch and pay for. I think there's 5 on there right now, and there's more coming. So it's really, there's like a smorgasbord, of opportunities or ways to connect with me in that sense, you know what I mean? So whatever the individual feel comfortable with, how ready or not ready they are, there will be something for everybody, I feel.
Thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you.
I'm
I
glad we
really
got to
appreciate
connect.
connecting with you and working with you personally as well. And your takeaway from that, it really meant a lot for me. And you sharing so freely. And again, we talked about earlier, is like, it really is a trend setting trait of yours, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you. To be open, I'm having ascension hangover feelings this morning. Very drowsy, my eyes, my top heavy. I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to be a clear channel today? But I wanted to still come on and be authentic. We're not always at our 100%, and we're not always, you know, there's moments where our humanness needs to be seen. And I'm having one of those mornings where, I'm tired. But I wanted to do this, and I wanted to connect, and I wanted to share your love with everyone. I hope you come back on my show again.
I would love that. Thank you.
Have a blessed rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
I think it's working. Can you still see me, Peter?
I can. Is it recording still?
It says recording. I don't know where Todd is. Todd, can you hear us?
Well,